end of the week, so I don't have a lot of pretty pictures for you to see. So thank you for your patience and your good humor. Why are you here today anyways, sitting here listening to me? Why did you come? To worship? To fellowship? Okay. All right, why are you sitting here listening to one man speak? What do you want from this today?
Did you sing?
Thank you, Henry, for pointing out my inefficiencies. I cannot follow that man's act. That was incredible. So that's what you came? You came to hear me sing, Henry? I'm so sorry to disappoint you. You came to hear a word from God? Why?
Because I need it.
Because you need it. What do you need? What do you mean? Why do you need it?
I need reassurance.
You need reassurance?
Yes, I
Okay.
need to strengthen my faith.
You need to strengthen your faith? Okay. Anybody else? Why are you here? Why did you come here to listen to one person speak ideas out of their mind?
Encouragement.
You're looking for encouragement?
You're hoping it's not just from your mind.
Okay. Thank you, Thyra. Thyra said she's hoping it's not just from my mind. Okay. Fellowship. Okay. So friendship, social connection. You know, as humans, we're interesting because we listen to a lot of things. We listen to stories. We read stories that other people publish. We watch videos. We listen to, you know, since audio has been around, we've listened to, before, we listened to recorded audio, but before recorded audio, you know, socially, we would gather around the campfire at night and we would listen to stories. Why? Why do we listen to stories? It's because of our history, okay. We now listen to podcasts, by the way. We listen to speeches. I'd like to suggest to you that we do this because we want a change of perspective. We want to see the world through somebody else's eyes because we are having a little bit of trouble with the way we're seeing it through our eyes only. And we're hoping for a fresh idea, a fresh perspective that will give us kind of a new angle to view the circumstances that we're viewing right now. Fair? Would you be willing to accept that? We listen to other people's stories, to other people's messages, to other people's thoughts because we want a change of perspective. Now, I would say it's also why people who have a profound individual experience, whether that's through particular personal hardship or significant accomplishment, when somebody has overcome something and they've almost become they've just become extra human in some way, we listen to them more because they have a perspective that we wish we could sort of distill down a little bit and just sort of capture a drop of that and maybe drink it and help it become part of our life and our existence. That's why end-of-life experiences are so profoundly moving. People who clinically die but come back, they come back with a new angle on life. One that we who have never had the close call that they have kind of wish we had. Maybe we could value things differently. Maybe we could readjust our priorities. Maybe we could see the thing that we're afraid of or challenged by right now a little differently and not be so afraid of it and not be so challenged by it and filter it and interpret it differently. If we could change our own perspective, what difference would it make to our life? What difference would it make to your life today? What difference would it make to the lives of those that we interact with? And what difference would it make potentially to influence that could expand beyond just our life? How great of a perspective shift can we get, and how significant of a change could it get? I would suggest that those who've had the most significant impact on Earth's history and in our thinking as a people, as humans, they were people who had profound shifts of perspective. And they had deeply held beliefs about whys and hows and what was really going on. So, give me for a minute. You don't have to close your eyes, but if you want to, go ahead. I want you to think about these. And we're going to go through a little exercise where we take perspective. Okay, this perspective is a small lens. You're going to start with a small lens, and you're going to think about, and this perspective is going to encompass a little bit of space. It's going to encompass a little bit of time. So if you put on your dual lens of space and time, you're going to think about the challenges that caused friction, some tension, some strain in your life this week. Sure, this week, this morning, starting there, moving back through yesterday, moving back through roughly the last week or very short-term period of time. You can expand it to 2 weeks if you want. Think of the conversations you might have had that were challenging. Think of the physical things you were doing that you had difficulty doing. Think of the illness you may have been fighting or not. Think of the thing you were afraid of. Think of the person that you didn't really want to talk to. Think of the fear that you may have had. Think of the concern. Think of it. Now move that a little bit further, and let's encompass a larger period of time. What have you been really working towards and moving towards for the last decade of your life? What have you been hoping for, and what have you been fearing? What have you been afraid of? What has been your greatest challenge? Your own kryptonite, what has it been? Now, we're going to take what has been difficult for you, and we're going to take that lens of both time and space, and we're going to expand it out away from you a little bit. We're going to stretch it out to a sibling, a loved one, somebody who has something challenging in their life. Maybe it's a friend, a neighbor. What's going on for them? What's the relational challenge that they're trying to overcome? What's the personal wounds and hurts and fears and difficulties that they have? Is it financial? Is it physical? Is it biological? Is it mental and emotional? What challenges are they having? I'll move the lens out again. Encompass your family and your friends across a longer period of time. What challenges have there been? And can you help? Is there anything you can do about it? Move that out a little further to people you don't know, just people here in your community, close by. Are there challenges that you see? People are having a hard time getting through the day. People are having a hard time maintaining positivity. People are having a hard time feeling personal value. People are having a hard time with all sorts of things. Now we're going to pull that lens out a little bit further. We're going to look at our province, our whole province. Okay, so we've gone from street level to, actually we've gone from the backs of our own eyeballs, and then we've pulled out a little bit to sort of wide angle camera, and then we've gone to street view, and now we're kind of, we've hovered around Google Earth's image of your community, and maybe your family's community if they're in different communities. Now you're going to pull back a little further. You're kind of going to go more than hot air balloon. You're going to go more than airplane. You're going to look at your country. You're going to say, what kind of challenges are there, and what are we supposed to do about it? Doesn't it feel rather helpless sometimes? Like, what can you do about this? Issues related to drugs, issues related to economic challenges, issues related to policy and procedure, issues related to, pull out a little further now, issues related to international conflict. Pull out a little further. Keep pulling out, okay? You've transitioned from an airplane that's able to fly around the world. You're transitioning out to a spacecraft. You're on one of Elon Musk's rockets, and you're headed out to low space orbit. Add a couple extra boosters, keep going. You're going through that blue ring, you know. You can see much of Earth, and you can see the atmosphere of Earth in this little bright blue ring that the sun shines through. And you can see the oceans and the clouds, and you can see, you know, you're looking more global. Pull out a little bit further. Pull out a little bit further. And just pause for a moment on your way past the moon and look back towards Earth. This little speck. And now, what are the economic tensions again? What was the deal with whether or not I had the right color of shoes? Man, my shoes just don't fit. What was the deal with I needed a few more dollars to get that thing I really wanted? What was the deal with now that we're sharing the same air, right? Look at us here on this planet. We're sharing the same air and the same water. There are no borders from space. There are no countries. There's just one planet, and there's just one people. So what are the difficulties there? What you're going through right now in your mind shift. I'm going to share one picture. Let's see if I can. I'm going to share two pictures with you. Let's see if I can get up on the screen here. Is this one UA up here? Kind of looks like I might be having the right one if it's coming. There we go. Okay. Has any of you seen this image? It's called Earthrise. This was taken in 1968, December 24th, by William Anders, one of the astronauts on the Apollo 8 mission. And what happens to astronauts as they go further and further away from the Earth, they get what's called the overview effect. It's a phenomenon described and experienced only by astronauts, where suddenly as you pull away from Earth's atmosphere and you look back at this, by the way, this was taken as they orbited the moon, and it's called Earthrise because Earth had just been coming past the edge of the moon while they took their first picture. This was the third picture in the series. I just happened to like it better than the first one because the first one was black and white because they didn't have color film. So the first one, he's like, wow, look at that. And he took a picture, and then he's like, hey, to the commander, I think the commander was Dorman, do you have any color? Do you have color film? So he quickly handed him a color picture, and then the next two pictures were color. So the first one's black and white, which is less profound. The next two were color. This is the third one in this series, color. First time they had seen the Earth rise. Not the sun rise, not the moon rise, Earth rise. And this picture captures some perspective of what the overview effect does for astronauts. It's when you pull away and you look back at this tiny little thing and you say, I live there. And suddenly my sprained ankle just isn't, like it's just not relevant. And my neighbor's fence that's 6 inches over on my property, like it's just not that relevant. And the fact that I need to replace the roof and I'm looking for some extra dollars to replace the roof on my garage, it's just not relevant. And the guy down the street who doesn't like my dog, he's always annoyed because when I walk my dog, well, maybe marks his fire hydrant. It's just not relevant. And we have religious tension, don't we? In the globe? We have I am right and you are wrong. We have a lot of it. We don't have that just be between major religions. We have that within religions. I am right and you are wrong. And you tell me, from this perspective, you're out there in space. What relevance does that have? What relevance does it have? The only thing you want is to be able to see your loved ones again. So this is called the overview effect. experienced by almost every astronaut who's gone into space, where their perspective suddenly shifts and they see everything on Earth when they return differently. Not everybody manages to maintain it, but some do. Beyond Earth rising, there's another photo taken, I'll share with you. It's taken in 1990 by the Voyager spacecraft. Now, the Voyager was launched in 1977, and you can see it launched from Earth, which is this tiny, tiny blue circle in the middle around the sun. And by 1978, it had reached between Mars and Jupiter's orbit. By 1979, it was basically at Jupiter's orbit, and every year afterwards, you can see how far it had traveled out of our solar system. Until 1990, it's out beyond Neptune. It's taken 2 years to get from basically Neptune's orbit to halfway between Neptune and Pluto. And in 1990, they asked Voyager, because they still had communication, to turn back and to take a shot. Take a picture towards the sun. So it did. Turned back, it took a picture towards the sun. As a matter of fact, it took 60 pictures, and we stitched them all together. And it came up with the image called Pale Blue Dot. Has anybody seen Pale Blue Dot? Let's see if I can find it here. That's the Voyager spacecraft. Its batteries are toast now. I don't think we've had communication with it for many years. This is Pale Blue Dot. I'm sorry if it's not showing you as much of a profound image as you wish. Can you see yourself there? This is a blow-up of one of the 60 pictures. This is a massive, massive blow-up. And I'll get my mouse out of here, so I'll see if you can possibly pick it up. Can you see these kind of little bands of light here? Okay, this is like the sun shining through your window, and there's like this sunbeam. Okay, this is a sunbeam through space. This is coming from the sun. This image actually should be twisted horizontal if we were pretending we were on the sort of orbital plane, because the sun is up over there. So if we were to twist it, you know, that's kind of the way it would be. And you'll see this little speck. Can any of you see that little speck caught in the sunbeam? It's Earth, and you're on it. It's a pale blue dot from billions and billions of miles away. Now, would you like to see what the pale blue dot picture looks like in the larger picture? So take that little image and put it here. This is a massive, look how grainy this is, okay? This is a massive blow up of the one picture that happened to catch the sun, and we are here in this pale blue dot. What would life be like if we managed to keep perspective of distance and time? Because after time, you know, after things have passed, the thing that was so hard years ago wasn't so hard. From a great distance of physical distance away, the challenges on Earth they're just irrelevant compared to the cosmos that we're in. So if we were able to maintain perspective, this is a modern enhanced version of pale blue dot, where they've taken the color out and revisited it just a few years ago here. Actually in 2020 they revised the image. So if we were able to maintain perspective, what would happen in our life? What if we were able to maintain the perspective of God? I wonder. All right. Yep, I wanted to be disconnected because now I'm just looking at my notes and I don't want you guys to see where I'm going. You'd have too much perspective then. So, baby is born. What does it want? First thing, what does the baby want? Comes out, starts crying. Okay, wants air. Yep. Big gasp. Baby wants air. Okay, now what does it want? Touch. Wants touch. Okay, hold me. Put me close. Then what does it want? Food. Feed me. Okay, after you get enough food, what do you want? Sleep. And then? What's that? Start it over again. Sure. That's right. You want comfort. Okay. So you're the baby. Feed me. Okay. And then what? You got comfort, you've got closeness, you've got safety. Okay. And then what? Well, you develop beyond a baby, don't we? Okay? So you start to recognize things. Your vision starts to form a little bit, and you see shapes moving by you, and those shapes eventually they take a form, and they take forms that you begin to recognize, and oh, that's the feeding face. You know? That's some other face that I see regularly. But it talks nice to me, whatever it is. You know? That's the face that I can associate maybe with that smell that holds me sometimes. Eventually, you move from faces to recognizing things that might look yummy. Probably everything looks yummy. What's this? Oh, what's that? Ooh, didn't like that one. Okay, and then what? Okay, you start developing the skills of hand-eye coordination and recognition of objects and faces, and then you start to have the capacity to recognize emotions, and then what? What's that? Oh, he wasn't sharing. That's okay. So, and then what? Okay, eventually you get the ability to crawl. You might start rolling over first, and then you crawl, and then you'll eventually walk, and then after you've walked for a little while and you've figured out how to bang spoons, you might try to cook with mommy. You might try to stand there and grunt while dad is doing something. I remember this when Isaiah came to me in the first house. I realized there was a difference between boys and girls, because I was doing some drilling, removing some screws, dismantling a part of the house that we stayed in and rebuilding it. So I had a little impact drill. And you know the sound they make. There's a little hammering sound. And the girls ran away covering their ears because it kind of echoed in the house. And Isaiah, he came toddling up there. He could barely walk. He came toddling up. He looked down and he went, He wanted to touch that thing that made all this noise. Oh, that was a very different response. Well, then what? After you can walk and you start recognizing things, and then what? What do you reach for? What do you go for next? Maybe you can learn to ride a bike. Okay, and then what? You go to school, you learn to read and write. And then what?
Ride a horse.
Ride a horse, sure. You might learn to jump on the trampoline. You might make some friends, right? You might start to do well in school. And then what? What's your next goal? What are you reaching for? What do you need? Well, I get a bunch of friends. I learn how to do well socially, or I learn how to interact socially. I get some connection. I get some eating. And then what? Well, I'm going to study hard enough to learn to do something useful so that I can earn a living, right? So that I can apply myself, so that I can buy my own food and take care of myself. And then what? Well, maybe there's a cute little girl or a cute little guy. And maybe you can find partnership. Maybe you can find love. And then what? Maybe you get married. And then what? Maybe you'll buy a house. Right? And then what? Maybe you'll have children. Can you believe it? And those children, they grow up and you're wanting to help them and you want to educate them and train them. And then what? Maybe they're gonna grow up too. Maybe they're gonna have the same steps that you had, and maybe they're gonna leave your house someday. Maybe they're gonna go off to their own education and start their own families. And then what for you? I'm on your path now. We're not following the kids. And then what? Well, maybe I'm gonna work hard enough to retire, right? I'm going to get to retire, and this is going to be this great time. I'm going to spend time with my grandkids now. This is going to be awesome. And then what? They've grown up, yeah. And then what? I think that we spend a lot of time putting our perspective and our focus on the then whats. We're always focused on this very next accomplishment, and in the meantime, time is passing us by. And I wonder sometimes if our perspective is so narrow that we're only looking at that like a baby's vision. You know, it's got cloudy something in front of it, so it reaches for that thing. And I wonder if we are like a baby all the time. It's just scaled to our age and our capacity. But we're like a baby all the time, reaching for that thing that's just in front of us that we can't quite grasp. But we're stuck in this mode because we're reaching for the then whats. And I wonder if we were to have a different perspective, what would it do for us? If we were to have God's perspective, if we were to have an astronaut's perspective, what would it do for us in a relationship to then whats? What would it do for us in our relationship to our challenges? Susan had been nursing her 5 kids all weekend. They had everything, it seemed like. You know, they brought the whole mix back from school, and it was just a mess. Nursing them all weekend, up late at night, kids are coughing, kids are up all in the morning, and just wiping dirty noses and trying to feed them, get them fluids, get them rest, etc. 5 kids. Her husband knows she had a sore throat. She went to bed. But Monday morning she woke up, and it was the sorest throat she'd ever had. She felt awful. She's like, this is just the worst sore throat I've ever had. She developed a fever. She went to the hospital Monday morning. She had a high fever, 104. And she just felt unusually tired, like dog tired. So she went to sleep there in the hospital. What Susan didn't know is that she wasn't going to wake up for weeks. Susan woke up 3 weeks later from a coma. She had gone into septic shock, not realizing that all of the infections eventually went from her sore throat into, through some means, they got into her bloodstream, and her body went into sepsis, which is this phenomenon where your body is not only fighting the organisms, it starts to attack itself. It's like an autoimmune disease, and you get multi-organ failure within hours. Once you've begun the process of sepsis, if you do not have antibiotics within about 6 hours, your chances of survival are extremely low. Extremely low. She was lucky. She'd been at the hospital. So when she fell asleep, turned blue, somebody recognized what was going on, and they started to administer antibiotics, and her body did eventually recover. But in the process of sepsis, one of the fascinating things is that because your immune system is attacking itself, your blood clots, right? It goes wild, and everything's acting on everything, and your white blood cells are eating things they shouldn't, and your clotting factors going crazy, and so on. And so while you've got all these little blood clots floating around, they go to your extremities, and they get plugged up in the little capillaries there. So it's kind of a handy thing in some ways, because it helps the blood stay close to your core, but you don't get blood in your extremities. So people with sepsis frequently lose limbs. So she woke up 3 weeks later to gangrene in her hands and her feet. Happy to be alive, but they were amputated. She had a sore throat, guys. She had a sore throat. Charlotte went in this week for a routine kidney stone removal. She ain't out of the woods yet. I think God's answering our prayers. But we don't know how close that was. Could have been hours. Could have been hours. This week, I was driving to the Lower Mainland. I drive there all the time, every week. Drive there and back. Maybe I get a little too used to it. Reach down, getting something from the seat while I drive. Head up. I'm heading straight for a semi. I reacted. I recovered, because I'm here today, but it wasn't very many inches. What if my reactions were just a little bit slower? What if I looked up just a split second later? we've got to keep time in perspective because we don't know when our time is up. It could be tomorrow. It could be tomorrow's sore throat. Nicholas fell down when he was playing baseball and he scraped his knee. The next morning, that night, he didn't feel so good. The next morning, he had a raging fever. Took him to the doctor. Doctor said, oh, he's just got a cold. In addition to his, sore knee, his knee was throbbing, just pounding. Sent him home. He starts having bruising all over his body. 12. Healthy kid, big kid, strong kid. About a foot taller than all his siblings or his classmates. Good baseball player, quite an athlete, generous, kind-hearted boy who liked to protect the little ones. That night, his fever kept going up, and he just told us folks, I need help. Help me. I feel awful. Took him to the hospital. It's nothing. Give him some more fluids. It's just a cold. The next morning, Nicholas was dead. The next scratch could get us. Not just the next semi-truck. Not just the next sore throat. Not just time. We don't know. We need to maintain perspective on what's really important. We need to maintain perspective. So then what? What are we doing? What are we doing with our life? What's our then what that we're focused on that we shouldn't be? Lord, help us realize that Luke 17:1, you said the kingdom of God does not come in ways that can be observed, nor will they say, look, hey, you've achieved the kingdom of God over there, or look, it's over here, you just got to do this, and then you've got it. No, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of God is about the existence of the presence of God in our hearts and our souls. Because I'll tell you, when you're lying in bed with a fever of 104, you don't even know if you're going to have your consciousness enough to make different decisions and to get a new perspective. So get it now. The kingdom of God, there's nothing we can lean on except God. And when everything else comes away and real hardship comes, there's nothing we have but us and God. And so this is the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep His commandments, for this is everything. This is everything. Why don't you join me in singing? Actually, don't join me. You're going to join Diane, I think, in singing, Be Thou My Vision.